right, so today is the winter solstice, and I came here to Stonehenge to watch the celebrations for it. Basically, nobody knows why Stonehenge was built, but one really popular theory is that it was built to mark the cycles of the sun, essentially because that helped mark the harvest season. And they mark the winter solstice with a really big celebration where you have a bunch of neo-druids and pagans and Wiccans and just spectators coming out to celebrate. So it's a really big thing, and yeah, let's go check it out.
Real quick, let me explain what you're looking at. What is the solstice and why is it important? If you look at the Earth, it sits at a 23.4 degree tilt in relation to the sun. And what that means is that even though we like to conceptualize the North Pole as perfectly north and the South Pole as perfectly south, from the viewpoint of the sun, the North Pole is actually tilted at a 23.4 degree angle. So as we all know, the Earth spins on that 23 degree axis every 24 hours to create one day, and it also spins around the sun every 365 days to create one year. So what's happening at the December solstice, this 23 degree tilt of the Earth's axis, I can offset that by drawing this imaginary line in the southern hemisphere that's 23 degrees south of the equator, and that's called the Tropic of Capricorn. Likewise, you have an imaginary line that sits 23 degrees north of the equator called the Tropic of Cancer. In December, the sun lines up so that it's facing directly over the Tropic of Capricorn, which results in the southern hemisphere having the longest day, like 24-hour period of sunlight, and the shortest night. Meanwhile, the northern hemisphere is going to experience the shortest period of sunlight and the longest night. And you can see, even at the Antarctic Circle down south, for that entire 24-hour period, it's complete daylight. And just the opposite, in the Arctic Circle up north, for that 24-hour period, it's complete darkness. So in the northern hemisphere, this day is called the winter solstice, and in the southern hemisphere, they experience this as the summer solstice. Now, if you move the Earth 6 months ahead in time to June, you'll find the exact opposite is happening. When the sun is directly over the Tropic of Cancer, the northern hemisphere experiences the longest period of daylight and the shortest period of night, and the southern hemisphere experiences the shortest period of daylight and the longest period of night, which is why the June solstice is considered the summer solstice to the northern hemisphere and the winter solstice to the southern hemisphere. So again, nobody really knows why Stonehenge was built approximately 5,000 years ago, it's estimated, but one thing that Stonehenge does do is mark the solstices. And knowing when the solstices would occur would have been helpful to ancient cultures, even if you can just think of living in a community where farming is essential. Being able to mark when the days are going to start getting longer or when the days are going to start getting shorter would help you be able to determine harvest cycles. Nowadays at Stonehenge, the solstices are mainly celebrated by Druids and Pagans and random revelers like myself, but the solstices, those 2 days out of the year, are the only days where you can actually go within the stone circle. So if you visit Stonehenge at any other time of the year, then the stone circle is going to be closed off and you can only walk around the perimeter. And if you're wondering, no, I am not a pagan or a witch or a druid. I just like interesting things. Enough about me, back to the ceremony, and maybe a better angle.
And this next one, broadening it out further, this next one is for more food and medicine and clothing and shelter and everything that's needed by the children of Yemen and the children of Afghanistan particularly. Talking about a crisis of 12 million starving children in Yemen. no help, no thanks at all to Britain and their awful arms policy of supplying Saudis with arms. But this is for more and more people. Good people of the world, all over the world, are sending money in for them, but more is needed. So, ladies and gentlemen, to maximise help from winter coming on, starvation getting worse, for the children of Yemen and Afghanistan to receive nourishment and food and be able to survive. So we bring Western countries, ladies and gentlemen. The note is La
So much it be.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And our last one, well, we all heard earlier in the year, just a month or two ago, in fact, that they had the COP26 World Climate Change Chaos Conference and all that's going on, which not a lot of people had a lot of faith in. Some good things being done, perhaps, around the world, but it doesn't help that you get large multinationals trying to challenge countries to, trying to implement measures to save the planet and save the people of the planet. So we need much more welly and much more oomph into what we need to do to bring back, halt, stop, reverse climate change, ladies and gentlemen, and protect indigenous communities and parts of the world where it's fighting already. So for much more consciousness around the world, particularly by governments, of what to do about it all, and ourselves as spurs in that direction, ladies and gentlemen. Well, finding more resolve to tackle more parts of the climate change problem before it gets any worse, to make it better, ladies and gentlemen, to make it better around the world. The note is La And thank you all for that. That's actually lovely. Happy solstice, ladies and gentlemen.
There is something else happening in the world now that I am opposed to, and we should all be opposed to, and it is the incursion and an infringement of our civil liberties and freedoms. This is a world problem. And with that in mind, the call is freedom. And we will do it 3 times. I will do it, and you will do it louder than me, or I shall do it louder than you. Freedom!
Yes. Do we have any hand clapping, baby namings, announcements, poems, anything else that people would like to do? Or shall we do the vow we did at the beginning again and close the circle so we all enjoy being at Stonehenge?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, all right. Well, you do the...
Okay, well, we've done it when we opened, we'll do it when we close. Let's hope you all know it louder than me this time. We swear by peace and love to stand, heart to heart and hand in hand. Mark our spirit and hear us now, confirming this our sacred vow. We swear by peace and love to stand, heart to heart and hand in hand.
Mark, O Spirit, and hear us now, confirming this our sacred vow. We swear by peace and love to stand, heart to heart and hand in hand. Mark, O Spirit, and hear us now, confirming this our sacred vow.
3 cheers for the solstice. Hip!
Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
In the southwest, north, and throughout the whole world again, and ready for that to be happening. So, here we go. Nothing else you need to do? No, lovely. Okay, then. May there be peace in the east.
May there be peace in the east.
May there be peace in the south.
May there be peace in the south.
And may there be peace in the west.
May there be peace in the west.
May there be peace in the north.
May there be peace in the north.
When we get back to the centre, and may there be peace throughout the whole world.
May there be peace throughout the whole world.
So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Lovely. Thank you. Cheers to Stonehenge and the sunrise. Give it.
Hooray!
Give it.
Hooray!
Give it.
Hooray!
In this crowd, you've got literally thousands of Druids and Pagans, and that's standard for every solstice at Stonehenge. And if you're wondering why this is such a big celebration for them, it's because modern-day Druidry and Paganism are spiritual or even religious practices of revering and syncing with nature. So to Druids and Pagans, the solstices can represent periods of death and rebirth, with the Winter Solstice being a time when the sun abandons the earth and the darkest day comes about. So a lot of these prayers and recitations, if you were able to hear them, were focused on the global environment and climate change.
Sun's now up.
I haven't put together any vlogs before, but if you like this sort of video where I take you around on some of the things that I do, especially more of the off the beaten path types of things, then leave a like and a comment down below letting me know that you like this sort of content, and I'll try to make more of it. I do have some footage of some other trips that I've taken around the area, so maybe I'll put those together and make something interesting out of it. But I hope this was cool for you. As always, I thank you for being here, and I'll see ya.